In the worldwide preaching and healing ministry of Sister Briege McKenna, Eucharistic adoration is always emphasized. Sister Briege shares a unique story of God's presence in the mystery of faith.
We had a tremendous experience in the Far East when we were speaking, and a lot of Buddhists came, and we did not know that there were Buddhists in the assembly because they didn't look any different, you know, the people to us there. And during the healing service, I started to explain to the people that we as Catholics believe this is not a symbol, this is not just holy bread, that for us in the Catholic Church, this is the risen Christ who spoke about being the bread of life. And I went into great detail, and then I told them that Jesus was going to walk through the crowd and that he would bless them and to look at the sacred host. And my interpreter was interpreting from English into Chinese because it was Chinese speaking. And all of a sudden there was a rattle of chairs and a great commotion, and the interpreter turned to me and in English she said, "Oh my goodness," she said, "all the Buddhists are falling on their knees shouting, 'We believe in you, Jesus.'" And she was so excited that she forgot that she was interpreting and started herself to speak in praise and adoration. And we found out later that a sister brought all her sick people. She was a social worker, and she went around homes and shut-ins, whether or not they were Catholic, Christian or Buddhist. She ministered to these people, this daughter of charity. And she decided that it wouldn't do any of them any harm to come to where Sister Briege was going to be praying. So she brought a busload of Buddhists. And the beautiful thing that happened to them was that afterwards they told that they felt a power go through them, and they knew that this was the living God. People who pray and people who spend time with the Eucharistic Jesus do see Jesus. I tell people, you can't see the wind. The wind, you can't hold it in a box, you can't see it. You can't get it in your hands and grasp it. But you see its effects. The wind, it's the effects of the wind. We see it with tornadoes, we see it with hurricanes. We see God through the events and effects of his life. People who pray see the power of the Eucharist, actually see Jesus in an extraordinary way. And this is why I often say to priests, Father, do you pray? Don't tell me you read books and you read what other people say, but do you read God's word and do you come to Jesus? Because if you came to Jesus in prayer, you would have no problem believing in his real presence, because the gift of faith is not acquired through books, it is acquired through prayer.
Attend Hawaii's first ever Marian Conference. Mrs. Kim is a married convert to Catholicism from Naju, Korea, and the mother of 4 children. Since 1985, she has been the recipient of well-documented mystical experiences, including apparitions of both Jesus and the Virgin Mary. Thomas Pereira is a resident of Hawaii and witnessed the occurrence on All Souls Day.
We arrived in the church, St. Anthony's in Kailua, and after that we had planned to go sightseeing because, you know, we wanted to take Julia and Julio and the other Korean friends around the island, so they had brought their cameras with them.
There were more than 8 witnesses at this private Mass who saw what occurred next.
During Mass, I was sitting right behind Julia and Julio, and Father Martin Lucia came and gave communion to every one of us.
Witnesses say the host that Julia received at communion began bleeding when it was placed on her tongue.
I could see Julia's tongue and mouth inside covered with blood, you know, and something inside which I presume was to be the, you know, body and blood of Christ, because I could see blood very clearly without any doubt.
Anna Nakamura was sitting directly behind Julia when she returned from communion.
When I went to front, you know, look at the Julia's mouth was open, and then Father Martin Lucia holding her hand, and then I saw, you know, blood was full in her mouth. Yeah, blood was so red, and so full in her mouth.
During the Mass, Julia Kim reported seeing Christ crucified.
During the Mass, I saw an image of Jesus in the Holy Eucharist. He was nailed to the cross and was bleeding. When I received communion, I heard the voice of Jesus, filled with dignity and love. When Jesus ended speaking, the sacred host in my mouth was melting and was giving off a strong smell of blood. The sacred host turned into flesh and blood. Those around me were able to see the blood and the live and moving flesh.
When examined, no cuts or abrasions were found on Julia's mouth or tongue. According to Kim, these are the words given to her by Jesus. My little soul, today my mother arranged your meeting with this priest who is spreading the mystery of the Holy Eucharist, so that I, who came down from heaven to become a sacrificial offering for the salvation of all the children in the world, may be able to give you my burning love through this priest. Many of the shepherds may appear to have faith in me, but their souls are closed and do not truly accept me. When they celebrate Mass in a superficial way, they are closing the door to God while opening it to the devil. Thus, the devil is causing confusion even among the shepherds and makes them become insensitive and unaware of their sins, and they become defenseless. Because of this, numerous children of mine who claim to have faith in me are receiving communion insincerely. How can I work in them? I am trying to work miracles of love with all my children through the Eucharist, because I love them so much. But they do not prepare themselves for receiving me. They do not realize my true presence. They insult me with sacrilegious communions and, thus, neglect and betray me. Because of this, I am deserted by so many of my children and left alone in the tabernacle, waiting anxiously for them to return to me and give love to me. My beloved children, spread to everyone in a very clear way that the mystery of salvation is being realized through me who is present in the Holy Eucharist. Also, have a complete trust in and reliance on my mother, who is also your heavenly mother. My mother, who is united to the sufferings in my Sacred Heart, is weeping tears and tears of blood and praying constantly, so that all the children in this world may leave their sinful ways and return to my bosom of love. She is the only one who can turn the just anger of God the Father away from you. To order copies of this video by credit card or for a list of other films by the Mercy Foundation, call toll-free 888-286-3729. That's 888-AT-MERCY. The call is free. To order by mail, send $24.95 per video plus $4 shipping and handling to the Mercy Foundation, Post Office Box 383, Mundelein, Illinois, 60060.